Hey, what's up guys, it's T-Bone here, and today we're going to be previewing the deck for the upcoming event called Forge Under Siege. Okay, and the cards are Undaria for event, Saffron for the free card, Cerulean for the ultra rare, and Azurit for the ultra rare collection. So these are the 4 cards that will make up the whole deck. And based on the cards themselves and where I'm at with the deck, I feel that it's going to be in a tier A, maybe even lower class because of the mechanics of the game. I don't believe this is going to be the deck that is going to deal quite as much damage as the previous deck that we saw, which is the Gladia deck. That was an event that just happened, Coliseum of Carnage. It's a little different, and I believe the mechanic makes it so it's going to deal less damage. And let's talk about sort of the deck itself, the cards, and why I think that is. And I'll also give some thoughts on the deck I think that will be useful for the upcoming Commander event. So first, let's talk about the cards themselves. We'll talk about the free card, which is Saffron of the Frozen Anvil. But before we start, I just want to say that I really enjoyed the artwork for this event. I think that they do a really good job in general with dragon type cards. For people who've known this game for a while, they started with some basic dragon cards, and I thought that they've really evolved the look of these dragons. So I just appreciate the art here. Anyway, so let's take a look at Saffron here, and this is a free card, and the battle skill here generates 10 Ancient Intensity, so this is a deck that utilizes Ancient Intensity, and it delays enemies' turn by 1, so it's a turn delayer, and it also adds Petrify for 2 turns. It has a charge rate of 9 gems, and it has a cooldown of 3 turns. So the couple things I'm curious about here is what Petrify will actually do. So this is the first time I'm seeing a card that actually will add Petrify. So I'm not sure if it's just something that doesn't do anything, because it has the same name Petrify in the sort of like an enemy's spell that would actually lock some of your cards. So Petrify will actually lock some of your cards, make it so you can't match them for a gem turn or 2. I'm not sure if that is the case here, or if it just wording just like all the previous events where it casts something that then powers up another card. So I'm going to assume that's the case, but I just thought that it's a little interesting that they use the word Petrify in here. And then let's take a look at the event card Undaria at 6 stars here. All of the cards so far have a 3-turn cooldown and a 9 gem charge rate, so they're not going back to the previous deck where there's multiple cards that have 0-turn cooldown. So it's going to be a little different here. And the battle skill here will create 1 water gem plus 1 additional per 30 Ancient Intensity, rounded down. So in this case, this is very much like the Circassa deck, where the card itself, where it will create additional gems based on intensity. Same thing with Domi. The difference is this is an event card, so it's not the free card. You'll get less of these cards. If the target has Petrify, dispel it and create 5 water power gems. So I guess based on the wording here, it's not going to impact the player. It's just going to be something that gets cast, and then Undaria will actually take advantage of it. And the key here, though, is that Undaria will dispel the Petrify and then create 5 power gems because there is an order here. That means if you have multiple cards, multiple Undarias in your deck, which is really the only card that would create power gems, and you only have 1 Saffron in the deck, then it's not going to work the way you expect. So the way this works is one Saffron will cast Petrify, and then Undaria will dispel it and then create 5 power gems. If you have another Undaria in your deck, then you're not going to be able to create the water gems anymore from that second card because Petrify has already been dispelled. So in order to take advantage of 2 Undarias, you're going to need 2 copies of Saffron in your deck in order to get a maximum number of power gems, and that would be 10 of them. And then if you look at, now let's go back to the collection and look at the ultra rare card, Cerulean, we can see what it does. So Cerulean at 5 stars will upgrade 2 water power gems plus 1 additional per 75 intensity rounded down to a higher level. So this is a new mechanic. Okay, so no card so far has it's not a new mechanic. It's the same mechanic as any of the other cards that generate power power gems that can upgrade when there's no more on the board. So that's sort of the same mechanic here, but this is the first time any card specifically has this skill that targets a power gem and then upgrades it. So this is very different than just spawning a power gem or spawning a gem by itself. This will actually target power gems and then upgrade them. What I don't know is, if you see here, it says it's a max of 6. So what happens when you activate this skill if there's no power gems on board? My guess is nothing will happen because it's specifically worded to target a water power gem. And so you have to make sure that when you use this power skill, battle skill, you actually have power gems that are water power gems on the board, or you're going to waste this skill. That's how I've read it. And it also requires 75 intensity at 5 stars to power up an additional gem at 5 stars. So in order to reach a maximum of 6, that means you're going to need to do 75 times 4, and that comes out to 300, and actually that's 300 intensity right there. And so it's not going to be a fast deck with this sort of mechanic. And if you look at the Azeroth, which is the ultra rare card, it's, at 6 stars it'll upgrade 2 water power gems plus 1 additional per 40 intensity. So the number of intensity goes down, and I believe that's probably what Cerulean is going to drop down to as well when it reaches 6 stars, and that's to go down to about 40 intensity, maybe 50. And then it has a higher maximum of 11 water power gems upgraded. Now, to get to maximum of 11 with lowered requirement of 40 intensity, even with 5 full relics, you're still going to take at least 5 to 6 turns before you can take advantage of this. And if you think about what we just talked about, where earlier you need to sort of have 2 Saffrons and 2 Andarias in order to have 10 water power gems. With Azeroth, even when you get to the maximum of 11, you're not going to be able to create more than that. But I'm curious, just how effective it's going to really be. Like, how many power gems can you actually create, and how many can you actually upgrade because of the intensity requirement. So it's going to take more turns, so it's going to be much slower. But because it's commander, you're less time bound, right? So that's the thing. You're more it's not like a Slayer deck where you need to be able to deal damage really quickly when you're trying to take down solo bosses or bosses that are there are other people are hitting as well. In a commander event, it's really more just you have more time to go through the waves, and you could build up more intensity. So I guess the intent here is it's okay for a commander deck to be a little slower, but then that just means you're not going to be able to compete in situations where you may want to take the commander deck and apply in Slayer events. And then let's take a look also at the other required cards. I think this is a really good collection, actually. So Lothar is a really good defender. A lot of people have him as a guild versus guild defender. So getting him is a really good thing. Not really good for attacks by itself. It's not intended to be a card that you use for for attacker. And same thing with the Beast. So the Beast is an older card, so it has a slightly lower power. I actually have him right now as my initial set of defenders until I get my other water defenders up. But he's also not bad, and he dispels thorns, so that's pretty helpful. And then the other card is Quack the Hunter, which is a featured event card from a while ago. One of my favorite cards. It will destroy all water gems, and in fact, he already was a commander card, so there's no change to his class. But any of these cards actually are really good to get, so I'm pretty excited for the 5-star collection for this case, because I think getting any of them would be very useful for me. Now, having said that, my personal thinking is that I have all the required cards, but I don't believe I'm going to go after the ultra rare card this time around. Just because I already have a pretty good deck, and I invested in this Fire Slayer deck, so I'm going to try this out in this upcoming event. I also have the Light Commander event from the previous event that I'll continue to use. But really, I think I want to take advantage of the fact that Quack is now at 10 commander. So this is a go-to deck for many people that uses Priestess Queen as the leader, with that is coupled with Icarus. So Icarus still remains one of the few cards that really does increase the drop rate of gems by a lot. A lot of the recent cards I've seen, based on what I've heard, that charges the drop rate based on intensity just hasn't worked quite as effectively as a card like Icarus. So Icarus also always does a really good job. And if I get a second Quack, that means I can put it in this deck and I can actually replace Alice with this, and I'll have two. I can take advantage of two gem destroyers to really boost the overall damage. So I'm excited about that. The other deck I'm also going to be using is the Thrall Deck. So the last time I used it, I was using it against a dark event. So this was a dark card against dark bosses. So, half reduced damage. So it wasn't quite as effective. But this is this is a full event deck that we got from the vault. So I want to take advantage of this. I really want to take advantage of the older cards that I've already got, I've already built up, and sort of go around there. And I think, some of the other options that you can do with water deck cards, if we take a look now. So let's see here. So another good option actually is if you invested in the Sarkasa deck, this wouldn't be bad to have Sarkasa along with Maelstrom, and then you can pair up with any other water commander that could help out. So depending on the card that you have, Freya is not a bad choice, although she's a Slayer. Obviously, if you have Quack or Priestess, you can try and combine them as well. It depends on the cards that you have, really, but I would say that in general here, I don't currently have a great water commander deck, but I think that I can supplement it with other affinity. So that's what I'm going to go with. It's just that I think that this is the deck right now that, as it stands, it looks really cool, and at best I think it will perform around the same level as a Sarkasa deck, where you could potentially get up to 7, 8. I'm not sure exactly, but the maximum, I know the maximum is going to be 11 based on the build deck up, the sort of the deck build that I can see here. You're not going to get as many power gems, and you're going to be limited on the number of ultra rare cards you can really put on here, because there's a limitation on this card that dispels Petrify, which is what's required for this card to generate the power gem. So given all that, this to me feels like it's a limited number of power gems. You're going to have to take some time to really build up here. I am curious about survivability in the upcoming event, although they did say that they're going to change the gameplay a little bit. So it remains to be seen. For me, though, I think that this is a weaker card than the previous event. But I may be wrong. So who knows? Let's take a look. For me, I think right now the cards for me, what's more exciting is actually the free cards that you can get as opposed to the free card itself, because this is a turn delay card, and beyond that, it doesn't really do anything. And then same thing with Undaria. It's good if there is it creates water gems, so it is good there. I can use it for intensity. This is a much better card than the free card. Compared to the previous event where Domi was just absolutely an amazing card. This one is, I think that Undaria is a much better card than Saffron is, and I'm less excited about the ultra rare card's ability. But I could be wrong because of the new mechanic. Let's see what happens when the event starts. So anyways, so that's my view for the deck for today. Hopefully this is helping you out. I think that I'm always looking for feedback, and so if there's anything you'd like to see me do more of, any more information that will help you out, please let me know, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching. Take care.